edging will drain our life force. Okay, I call this advanced semen retention. You know, I used to call it lust or mental lust. We can call it edging. And some examples of edging. I used to do this. I would study these Taoist practices, and I would use that to justify me getting a dopamine hit. See, edging is all about dopamine hits. Well, so is masturbating, but then when you ejaculate, it's more about relaxing, you know. But it's an artificial relaxation. Anyway, edging's about dopamine hits. Some different ways I would edge is, like, I would masturbate and get up to the point of being close to climax, but then I wouldn't. I would lock, and then I would try to, this is the justification, I would try to bring the energy up and circulate it. I mean, it's not total nonsense. I did do that. The problem is the dopamine hits that I would be getting from this constant stimulation. This was the problem, and that burns out your nervous system at some point. But to each thy own self be true, you know. I'm sure there's a lot of people doing it, and they would disagree, and that's cool, because like I said before, I don't have any position about anything. Everybody can do whatever you want to do, and if you're enjoying, at least for now, cool. If somebody wants to have a constructive conversation because they have some doubts about something and they feel to check with me about that, then okay, then we can talk, and then there's some energy there. But I'm not interested in rivalries and who's right and wrong. You know, we're all right and we're all wrong. How about that? Okay, so doing that example that I just gave, that's an example of edging. Getting hits when you're in public, trying to, you know, whether if you're a guy or girl, like if you're a guy and you're trying to get hits of validation from the opposite sex, you're trying to be charming, you know, and trying to get them to respond to that. That's another example of edging. And that gives a good dopamine hit. And same, girls do that also to guys. Actually, this is, you know, this is the main thing. This is what I see in public. A guy and a girl do this to each other, trying to get attention. Oh, I'll give you attention if you give me attention. Okay, good deal. They don't voice that. If they did, they'd stop it because it would be conscious. But this is what goes on, and then they call that a relationship. And then why does the relationship end? Because they get tired of giving each other attention. It's like, I don't feel like giving you attention. But can you still give me attention? Yeah. All right, so that's another way of edging. Objectifying, you know, women, or staring at their body, you know, especially if they're, I know they can provoke you. They like to do that, and wear tight clothes and provocative, you know, dress, and then get mad at you for looking. Yeah, I know how all that goes. It's just funny, the human being and its conditioning. But if we get caught up in that, look at it like a challenge. You see, the universe is testing you. It's going to send some female body that it knows you're already programmed by instinct to be drawn to, and then it's going to, you know, minimize the amount of clothes on that body to try to get you, which is actually more of an allure. You know, if they're just totally naked, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, but when we see something that's kind of risque, it stimulates the whole sexual fantasy imagination. That's the fun part, right? Imagining, like, we don't know, like, how would they look, what would happen, but when it comes time to actually doing it, seeing it, it's like, okay, yeah, this wasn't such a big deal. Let me find the next one. I remember I went to a naked beach, Black Beach in San Diego, about 23 years ago, and I really wanted to go. I was with my first girlfriend at the time. She was the best. I thought, wow, I didn't know you could have a girlfriend like that. The chemistry we had, we laughed together and cried together, and she was like my best friend. Plus, we had sexual expression with each other. I didn't know that was possible. And I just was blown away. And of course, I got hurt severely when that ended, but it made me strong. Anyway, I wanted to go to the nude beach. She didn't. But I talked her, manipulated into her going. But then when we got there, she actually liked it more than me. Because you know what happened? It was cool the first 15 minutes, but then after that, I'm like, okay, everybody's naked. Okay, now what? Like, what are we gonna do? You know. So I saw how it's this sex addict type thinking. It lives in the mind, in the imagination, lust, and all that. So let's just review ways of edging. Getting masturbating up to almost the point of climax and stopping, trying to get hits of validation from people, you know, in public, objectifying people in public or staring at their body, imagining, fantasizing about them. Sexual fantasy is a huge thing. You know, we can do that at any time, any place, anywhere, and nobody will know, seemingly. Some people will they'll smell the vibration of it if you're sensitive, but for the most part, people won't know. But you'll know, you know, and it steals life force when we do these things. Another example, looking on the internet or watching movies or TV shows, non-pornographic stuff, but enough, we're still getting a hit. We're scrolling and looking for these things with the intention of getting a little juice, a little hit from these images. Yeah, things like that. There's several. I mean, it's it's individual too on a certain level. But list some things in the comments, okay? I don't know how many will follow my direction or suggestion, but list them there so that I also want to see, like, what are all the different ways we can edge, you know, and so others can see, and then that helps bring awareness when we're doing these things. So then when we do it, we're more conscious of it, and we're like, yeah, I don't want to do this, you know. This stuff drains our life force. You see, this is why I didn't want to do it anymore. Because constantly getting these dopamine hits. Because what happens when we go up? You got to come down. And it's addicting. It's addicting in its nature. It's not like you can just do it a couple times. I'll just go outside and I'll try to get a couple girls to look at me by turning on the charm, and then I'll be satisfied. No, I went to Brazil, and like I told you, I just went mad. I mean, as soon as a few gave me hits of attention, I just, that's all I did, all day and night, every day. I had to leave. You know, it was insane. So it steals it steals our life force, because we're directing our life force into something that's not reciprocating the life force. We're not getting any return on our investment. We're investing this life force and not getting anything back. We just lose it. And if you do this long enough, you'll see what I'm talking about. This will happen at some point. You'll see your life force reservoir is dying. Now, I don't know when that could happen. Depends on factors. You know, if you have any chronic health situations where your life force is already compromised, you're going to realize this sooner. If you have, let's say, strong genetics, then maybe you'll realize it later. The point is, we realize it as soon as we can. You know, there's two consequences for that I see, and generally speaking, when I'm edging or lusting. So one is when we're doing this lustful edging behavior, it obviously starts activating the energy in our sex center, and there starts to become a buildup, right? There's the pressure on the apparatus is starting to get riled up. So then you stand a good chance at some point losing your semen retention streak, you know, that we've worked so hard to put together. especially the first 30, 60, 90 days. When we get through those milestones, those are really hard for a lot of people. So then what are we going to do? You want to throw all that away for nothing? Because it's really nothing, just for some quick, temporary, euphoric hits that just suck your life force and don't really give you anything except just a temporary elation. So that's one thing that happens. It can set us up to lose our reservoir of semen that we work so hard to retain, because it can take, depending which Ayurvedic yogi we're talking to, but it can take anywhere from 40 to 60 days to fully replenish the amount of semen that we should have, that should be stored. This is why it's so valuable. It just takes the body a long time to make. It's the last thing that the body makes. Remember, it makes the plasma, and then the blood, and then the muscles, and then the bones, and then the bone marrow, and then the nervous system, the nerve cells, and then finally the ojas, or the semen. I might have gotten a couple turned around, so if you're a scholar, Ayurvedic scholar, don't beat me up too bad, but this is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is how important it is, this fluid. And Ayurveda says it takes like 40 drops of blood to make 1 drop of semen. So it takes a lot of work for the body to make, and look how quick we can waste it, especially those who have been wasting it for years or decades. It can take longer. So what happens? What happens if it takes, let's say, 60 days to make it, but yet you're masturbating every day? Well, that doesn't make sense. Don't you got to wait 60 days for it to build up again before you can waste it? No. So then how could you ejaculate every day? You know what happens? The body will take the materials that's used to make it. It'll start extracting things from the bone marrow and in your bones, your calcium or magnesium, whatever, chemistry from the blood. It'll extract chemistry from the other ingredients that are used to make the semen. It'll start extracting that before it even started making it, and use that. This is how you can get sick easy. This is how you can have health problems. This is why it's so important to preserve it. So that's one consequence, was that it can build up this sexual energy. When we're edging, we can start to build up this energy too much in an unnatural way, and then we'll have to release it. The other thing is, we're wasting energy, as I said, just by doing it. You can just feel. I was going to say, just don't do it for 24 hours. A lot of people can't do that, believe it or not. It might sound easy, but don't do it. That's the thing. That's how you realize how strong this habit is. Just don't do it for 24 hours. I'm talking about nothing. No fantasy thoughts. In the morning when you wake up, don't touch yourself. Don't do anything when you're in public. Don't even look at girls. Just look down or carry on with your business, what you're doing. Don't do anything. See how easy that is. Now, some can do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I can do it. But you'll start to see the strength of these tendencies and habits and conditioning. So if you can go, or just if you can't do 24 hours, just do whatever you can do. My point is, you'll start to see that you have more energy when you're not edging. Okay? So that means more energy to put into your whatever creative work you're doing, or whatever service you're offering to people, or if you're doing therapy or counseling or etc. You're more clear, you're more focused on who you're talking to. You can listen better, and you can come up with an intuitive response better. Okay, because when we preserve our sexual energy, it also like raises our spiritual capacity, and we can receive these higher intuitive knowledge and higher downloads that normally we would be too dull to receive otherwise, you see. We can see the angles of things and the interconnections of things that normally we couldn't see. That requires wisdom. If you don't lose your sexual energy and you're not lusting, this energy will turn in to spiritual qualities such as wisdom and intuition and just subtle perception of things. You can start to read vibration and energy better, you know, everything. The list is, you can just go on and on. So those are the benefits if you don't lose your energy. At the same time, we got to give ourselves a break, you see. We can't, this isn't like, I said it before, it's not like just putting down something, like stopping coffee or, we're talking about, because it's subtle, especially edging. Edging's very subtle. Stop masturbating, watching porn, that's one thing. That's also difficult for many people. I'm not taking that, I'm not minimizing the success and importance on that if somebody stopped doing it. But it's more, that's more on gross level. That's more tangibly, you can just put it down. This edging stuff, this is subtle, man. This is subtle. And the tendency to do it can just pop up just so fast, just unconscious. You just, a girl comes, you look, you know, she bends over, you look. You know, it's like something's just doing this automatic. So this takes a little more work, a little more consciousness to be free of this. So therefore, don't beat yourself up thinking that you failed if you do this stuff. The reason I'm talking about these things and sharing the different ways that we could edge isn't to create some kind of guilt or shame or, you know, or make me look superior, like, you know, or anything like that. The point is to bring these things up so that it's in our awareness, so that we can then, we're aware of it. When we're aware of something, there's a countdown on the life of this thing that we're aware of that isn't good for us. It's going to start to, its life is ending now because the spotlight of our consciousness and attention's on it. We're aware of it, you see. Whereas before it was just happening automatically. So this is why I'm bringing it up. And then we just start working on it, you know, and share our progress. These are the kind of conversations I have nowadays. It's been a while since, I don't know how to just talk nonsense, you know. If somebody's going to talk with me or if I'm going to talk with somebody else, excluding if I buy something from the store or something, I don't need them. I don't have to get in a deep conversation with them. But if somebody's going to actually come in my personal space or especially at my house, we got to have a high level conversation. And this is one example of that, what I'm sharing now. You know, like, what are the struggles that you go through trying to practice this in your life? And also, what are the benefits? What are you getting from this? What do you see unbiasedly, clearly the benefit is? You see, I don't like when people parrot what other people say and say, yeah, and they read, you know, they compile a whole list of, let's say, benefits from semen retention that they've collected via books and videos, and now they're going to read them all to try to excite the listener. And no, man, just share what have you experienced? Because when you share what you experience, there's a nice vibration about that, and that's uplifting, and then that also raises the consciousness, both for the person sharing and the person listening. So these are the conversations I like to have, because what else is there? You know, what are we going to talk about? Like, I don't even know. I was telling my friend, like, I don't know what the so-called normal people are talking about. I just don't know what they're saying. I mean, I know they're not saying it much, but I don't even know what they're saying because I just don't. I'm not in that circle or community, you know. I like talking about this. I like talking about growing spiritually and realizing who we are beyond this bodily vehicle. I mean, this thing gets old after a while. Like, you know, it's like you get a car, and at first you get a new car, a Lamborghini or something, and you drive it, and yeah, man, like, you know, it's new and it's exciting, and you're showing it off, and there's all these different things you can do with it. You can race it, and you can and put a loud stereo in it and all this stuff. And so it can go on for some time to where it's exciting, you know. But at some point, I don't know, it just gets boring, you know. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm in a Lamborghini, whatever. You know, something wants to realize something beyond this car that you're driving. It's the same thing with the body. Like, there's so many things we can do with the body and with the senses and with the imagination and the mind, and so many goals to pursue and so many things to see, different countries, etc. So it can take a while. That's why, yeah, one life may not be enough. But at some point, we get the same feeling. It's like, man, is there something beyond this dimension? You know, something like it gets boring. Something gets tired of just, you do something, you feel good, and then it goes back down again. Huh? You got to find something else. And you're like, is there anything that's stable? Like, is there any kind of piece that don't go away, that's just, that doesn't get boring? Yeah, there is. So those people, those are the real sadhakas when they're really hungry for that. You know, because they've already tasted everything out here and it's just boring now. And so they want to come into this this fullness of their self and realize this. There's a serenity inside everybody, inside of everything. Now, we may not be aware of it, but it's there. This serenity, if we're aware of it, it doesn't get boring. It doesn't. It never gets... It has no opposite, you see, so it can't turn into an opposite. It's steady, and it's fresh, and it keeps getting better. Imagine that. Like, it doesn't get boring or old, and it just keeps getting better. I used to think I found something like that on the physical dimension. I was excited. I was like, holy shit, I found the divine in form. Like, how did that happen? And I thought it was San Pedro cactus, because I did it several hundreds of times, mostly microdose, and it just felt great every single time. And still, if I've done it maybe a couple times in the last couple of years, small amount, it still feels good. It's a great medicine. I love it. Damn, makes me want to do it now. No, I'm just joking. But when I do it now, I don't know, I realized this a few years ago. As good as it feels, it's not at all as pure as this Serenity, because it's like the chemistry, the San Pedro chemistry, it has to tweak other certain things in the system in order to produce this this nice sense of calmness and balance and energy that it gives. It's fine. It's a great trade-off. It's not like the consequences aren't bad at all. I'm talking subtle though, you see. It's still duality, you know. And if you do that stuff too much, your nervous system will start getting stressed out, because it's strong chemistry, you know, even if it's a microdose still. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because I'm trying to compare. This was the best thing I've ever found in duality, that had the least amount of duality, the San Pedro. I'm comparing that to this inner Serenity. No comparison. There's no comparison. Serenity has no compromise, no consequence at all. It's all upside. And so this is for some people, this is the goal in life now. They want to just be one with that more and more and more. That's a healthy addiction. If you have that addiction, that's very healthy. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day.